Now this is a story all about how our lives got flipped, turned upside down. So why don't you just take an hour and sit right there? We'll tell you how we became princes of a town called, Hoserville doesn't rhyme. Oh gosh, I wish I was in Bel Air right now. It's so frickin' cold in Saskatchewan. Brr. Where was I? Oh right, Hoser Hockey Hour is not filmed in front of a live studio audience. With your hosts, Matthew Butch Paczynski, His Royal Gingerness, Kevin O'Hare, and, that hairy guy. What was his name? Kakamo or Kakamo? Oh, friggin' the hairy guy, the Kak. All right, let's go.
He shoots, he scores!
So I like it how you said, like, oh, like Saskatoon. We're in Toronto, buddy.
One of us isn't.
Yeah, that's true. Like one of us is in the middle of the Arctic, and one of us is in civilization. Like, I feel bad for this guy as he's looking through his like little Skype camera, the little beady eyes, just looking all depressed and stuff. Like, oh, what a guy.
Fun fact: the closest city is a 3-hour drive from me.
And what's the closest city, man?
It'd be Edmonton.
Oh.
Yeah.
The enemy, Matthew. The enemy. Home of the Oilers.
Are you in Saskatchewan or Manitoba?
Alberta.
No, he's right on the border of Saskatchewan and Alberta.
Yeah.
Is he really?
I am.
Yeah, we talked about this last time.
Oh, well, look at that. That's awesome, man. All right, well, welcome to the show. This is episode 3. Michael, thank you for doing an awesome intro. And this is one of your things where you're so humble. You're like, oh, I have nothing planned.
I literally didn't
and then
have
you're like,
anything
okay,
planned.
hold on. And then you just spit that out. I'm like, you're full of crap.
No, I literally had nothing planned. Like you can tell, I was stumbling.
You could tell you're just like just falling over your words and stuff like that. That's okay. You know? Oh, what a tongue. You know, that makes some women just like, oh, so wet. Oh.
You're horrible, man.
Oh, man.
That's
Well,
gross.
Well, you know what? I love this. We're on a bi-weekly basis now, so whatever we talk about news, it's severely outdated. Like, we're talking about like Connor McDavid's Halloween costume. By the time this goes to air, it's gonna be like middle of November. It's like, who's talking about Halloween anymore? But screw it, we're gonna do it anyway. Yeah. So like, hopefully everyone had a great Halloween. My Halloween was great.
Yeah?
I went over to our friend Tree's house. We watched Shaun of the Dead. That was the first time I ever watched that movie. Pretty good movie. Not gonna lie. But you know what? It was perfect. Movie. It's pretty good, man. We turned the lights off. Like, not in the room because, like, you know, that'd be inappropriate. We turned the lights off to his house. So, like, no stupid kids would come trick-or-treating because, Michael, you have, like, 40 kids come to your house or something? Like, that's... Matt, did you get a lot of trick-or-treaters this year?
We got about 60 kids, yeah.
Oh
mind you,
God,
that's pretty good considering we had a blizzard and they had to walk through the snow and they were like all bundled up in their snowsuits over their costumes, so you can't really see a costume. It's just kids in parkas walking around asking for candy.
It's like, oh, but sir, I'm like Harley Quinn under my parka. It's just like, you're 10 years old, honey. Like, go home.
It's a school night. You know what I did though? Because I'm selfish. Everyone pretty much would agree with that. Yep. But shut up. But what I did is I don't like coffee crisp. So what I would do is I'd make sure that the kids only got the coffee crisp till I had to give out the Smarties, the Kit Kats, the Arrows. I'm like, wow, look at you. And I put my hand in the bag so they wouldn't see what I was dropping in. So
you're gonna be that guy. So no kid's ever gonna come to your house next year. Like, oh, you want to get some like shitty candy? Like, go to their house, and it's just like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
I don't know what a kid. You know what a kid literally did? He literally stuck out his arm with the bag. This was just before I left the house, and he goes, "I don't eat nuts." And I wanted to be like,
well, your parents hate you.
I'm like, what do you want me to do? You get what you get, and don't get upset. Now turn around and walk away before I kick your ass.
No, but now you know what? Like, people traditionally, I guess the point of Halloween, I really don't like Halloween. I'm just going to put that out there. It's a stupid holiday. But, like, people will, like, dress up, I guess, is the points of it all, is that you're pretending to be someone you're not. So cut to Connor McJesus here, who like wore a Donald Trump costume,
and his girlfriend was Melania Trump with a smile.
And lo and behold, the entire internet just goes crazy, batshit crazy, because people are so sensitive. Oh, you spilled water. God damn it. But no, like,
I'm glad you're not sensitive.
Oh, I'm the epitome of or as a girl I once dated said, the epitome of something.
Okay, sidebar. When I was at the Canada Games of 2011, I had an interview with CBC, and I literally made that mistake. Like, I said, oh yeah, this is the what was epitome?
The actual word is the epitome.
Yeah, but I said epitome. I said, yeah, we're with the epitome of athletes and artists all across the nation.
These people are like amateur hour over here.
So after I look, I'm telling someone, I'm like, oh yeah, I said, epitome, and they're like, epitome, and I'm like, what do you mean? That's not how you say it? And they're like, no, it's epitome, and I'm like,
did I take you out on that date? No, I didn't. But no, like, you know what? Like, Michael's just stupidity aside. No, I'm just kidding, buddy. But just like, joking aside though, it's just like this whole thing was, first of all, a point that Michael wanted to bring up. So I feel like you should probably talk about it.
It's ridiculous. Connor McDavid right now has enough problems. His team's not doing well. McClellan's throwing him under the bus, and now he has to deal with this. So for those of you who didn't see this, and you probably didn't because it was retracted and modified so many times, Connor McDavid, we already mentioned what him and his girlfriend were dressing up as, and he had the caption on it going, "Making America Great Again." A little later into the night, he switches it to Mr. and Mrs. Trumpet or Trump or whatever it is, and the media gets all upset. Okay, and I see this stuff going around of, oh, he's supporting a racist. He's a racist. Connor McDavid's offensive. First of all, people, like, let's get one thing straight here. He's a 20-year-old kid, okay? 19, 20? It doesn't matter. He's very young, okay? Let the kid have fun.
You keep talking.
Second of all.
Okay, Google, how old is Connor McDavid?
Well, you told me to talk and then you interrupt. 20 years old. Okay.
There you go.
So... Okay, so so that's happened, right? Now he's getting all this BS on him. Back when Clinton and Lewinsky had their little thingamajigger, people were going dressed up as them on Halloween, and no one seemed to mind then, right? People dress up as the devil for Halloween, for God's sakes. Now, like, I know people are like, oh, well, that's kind of close. Come on, let perspective here, people. Connor McDavid doesn't hate visible minorities because he dressed up as Donald Trump, okay? He just wanted to have some fun. It was a good costume, and the election was over a year ago, okay? Like, get over it. Come on.
It's just, I don't know, Matt. Like, what do you think about all this, man? Like, are people reading too much into this?
People need to chill the fuck out.
Oh!
You know what?
Do we have to censor him?
No, because like he gives me shit all the time for swearing, and then he drops a bomb like that.
He scores!
Okay, Matt.
I only bring that out when I'm very passionate about something, and in this case, like, let it go. Who cares? It's Halloween. People do dumb stuff. Not that this is dumb, but let it go. It's not a big deal.
Honestly, like, you know what it is? It's the sports media. I mean, they did this with Crosby too. Like, Crosby should stick to sports and not go to the White House. I'm like, wait a minute. You're Sportsnet talking about the White House and why it's horrible. You stick to sports, man. Like, I'm not calling out anyone in particular. You know who you are. But, like, it's ridiculous how the sports media now has all become, like, the thought police. And what I love about hockey is that, with all this crap that's been going on recently, hockey's all been about unity. You saw it in Vegas with the tragedy that happened. Hockey was all about coming together. You saw the Dallas players lining up behind the Vegas players. Like, that was very heartwarming. They go to the White House because they don't want to cause any waves. Hockey's all been about unity. You look at other sports leagues, man, and it's all divisive. It's all divisive, It's all about us versus them. And hockey is like, let's bring everyone together. But the media is like, no, that can't be. But it's like, wait a minute. You want us all to get along. So what the hell do you want, sport media? Like, I don't get it. And so this was just another, like, thing that I saw that I looked and I'm like, my goodness. Like, I wasn't planning on talking about it, but all the crap that I've been reading online, I've been hearing about, I'm like, perspective, people, okay? It's not as if he went as a Ku Klux Klan person with a white sheet over his head, okay? Like, for real, like, get over it. Like, get over that the kid wanted to dress up with his girlfriend on Halloween. It made a great, cute couples counseling. Oh my God, costume. although he might need some counseling after this. Like, just you're making problems where there shouldn't be problems, and it's just ridiculous. I know it had not much to do with hockey, but I just wanted to get that out there because it was infuriating.
Now, see, like, we can have a whole conversation about the what our thoughts are on whether or not sports and sports media should be involved in affairs like this. I mean, it's so easy that we can have a whole hour-long conversation about the whole kneeling thing in the NFL, but I feel like we've been rambling enough about this costume thing. So let's, you know what? Like, why don't we focus on, like, what I was thinking about the other day when Michael texted me and he's like, dude, what are we going to talk about this week, man? I got nothing. And I'm like, you got nothing. I got nothing. So I had to reach so far up my own ass to come up with these topics. One of which I was looking at, like, in terms of players who are always talked about, what names come to mind?
McDavid.
Crosby. Sidney Crosby, or Alexander Ovechkin. Like, it's very simple. Those are pretty much like the main people that come to mind, right? But I was thinking, like, what about the random guy? The random guy that if you're like, and you're talking to your coworker about your fantasy hockey league, and you're dropping these names, and people are like, who is this? Like, what about those guys? What about the great players who get no attention? And there are a lot of them.
So underrated.
Yes.
So, okay, like, probably the most underrated players in the NHL?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead, Matt. I'm still thinking.
Joe Pavelski.
How did I not think of the almighty Joe Pavelski? Oh, I love him. I can't wait to get... Oh, wait, I'm not getting his jersey. What am I talking about? I love Joe Pavelski.
Right? Like, everybody likes Joe Pavelski.
Why do you think he's underrated?
Well, because he plays on the West Coast and nobody knows about him, but he's a consistent 30-goal guy. He's captain of the Sharks. He's just a good player.
Go, little Joe.
Yeah, I feel like if he played on the East Coast, there'd be a lot more buzz around this guy.
You know what? That is true. Joe Pavelski is overlooked because of Joe Thornton, because of Brent Burns, because of Patrick Mark. Oh, wait. He does. He puts a lot of numbers, and he is a great leader. He is the perfect package. I love him. Montreal, go make a trade. Oh, wait, you don't have any pieces for him either. This is awkward.
Dude, I wish we were recording this so people could see how we're sitting right now. Like, it's just like we're trying to sit comfortably around this microphone, but it's just not working out. We're just like sprawled out like George Costanza on that couch. Oh my God. No, but you know what, Matt? That's actually a pretty decent pick. Joe Pavelski, man. He's a great guy. Oh, Michael had an epiphany.
Sorry, yeah, I had two epiphanies, but continue.
Okay, well, like, you know what? Why am I talking for Matthew? This is his point. You make your own damn point, man.
I did make my point. I think
okay.
I'm good. Mike,
I got a good one. I got a good one. I got two. Well, I mean, I talked to your dad about one of them earlier, Matt Zuccarello, but I also am thinking Alexander Semin, man.
That guy doesn't play anymore.
No, not Semin. Sorry, Nicholas Backstrom. Man, why do I get those two mixed up? I get those two mixed up. I don't know why.
I feel like there's an inappropriate joke in there somewhere. But.
My, is there? Nicholas Backstrom. Oh my God. We're all over the rails on this, man. Oh my God, I almost did it again. Nicholas Backstrom, I think, is one of the most underrated, most underappreciated, skilled centers of the game. He reminds me of a young Adam Oates, the way he feeds the puck, the way he's a silent assassin with his passes. The guy, like, you always think like, oh, okay, if you're facing Washington, Oshie, Ovechkin, oh my God, I'm blanking. There was that other guy, that other Russian, Kuznetsov, right? Not many people are kind of aware of Backstrom as a threat. So it was funny when you were talking about Pavelski. I'm like, wait a minute, there's another center, and you're talking about the East Coast. I'm like, oh, he's in the East Coast. Who is he? That's the guy I would go with. Now, if it was last year, I'd say Mike Fisher, just because I love the dude. But
why did you laugh at that, weirdo?
Because everyone's like, who's one of your favorite players? And I'd go, Mike Fisher. And they'd be like, what? Oh, Mr. Underwood. And I'm like, don't you say that. But I'd say Nicholas Backstrom. Zuccarello also is a small little feisty guy. Like, he's very fast, and unfortunately he's on a pretty bad Ranger team this year. But he was always been one that just came out of nowhere and just played very well. Kevin, you have one?
I mean, you looked at my phone when I'm pulling up stats, so I know you know who I'm going to talk about. I was going to say, what's his name? Nikita Kucherov. The dude's got 21 points in 13 games played. He has 13 goals in 13 games. He is the highest goal scorer in the league right now. When people think of Tampa Bay Lightning, they think of who? Steven Stamkos, right? But this is to Matt's point, I think he made a couple episodes ago, this is like Kucherov's team at this point. Like, at this, like Stamkos came back, and people were like, "Hey, that's great." But like Kucherov has been like 21 points in 13 games, man, and like I feel like he's never talked about. Like, that's amazing. Like, if that was Austin Matthews numbers, would you not hear that every single day? Absolutely. But like because he's in Florida, and that's a market that really no one really talks about. A lot of those guys go unnoticed until they're in the playoffs. And that's when you actually get to see them perform well. And you know what? That's what I really liked about the World Series is like you're hearing about like just to jump ships for a second, but like you hear about players you wouldn't otherwise hear about because they're not talked about all the time. Kucherov is one of those people for me. But you know what? It's like, you know, the NHL is full of players that no one's heard of. But you know what? I think it's just like it's interesting to see how. Like, what makes a big player? Is it how sexy they are? Is it their, like, marketability? Because McDavid's ugly as hell.
Oh, my God. Ugh. Okay, where are you going with this? He's going, like, I hope you're going somewhere with this.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, my God.
I'm really uncomfortable, man. Like, just, like, can we get, like, a proper studio? Like, just, that's not my basement? Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. So in terms of actually, let's flip the script here a little bit, Matt. Who do you think is overrated?
Ooh, I like where this is gonna go. I can think of a few people for this one.
Go ahead.
All right.
You have the con.
I have the con. Nice. Carey Price, I think this season is overrated.
I'm not disagreeing with you there.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong, when he's on, he is all world on, but I don't know, especially with goaltending in the NHL, I don't know that it makes that much of a difference anymore to have that all-world guy versus a guy who's just above league average. Like, let me throw this out there. Is a team with Carey Price on it versus a team with Frederik Andersen on it, who has half the cap hit, who's going to be better, right? Like, I think you can win with either of those guys, but you're set up a little nicer if your goalie's not making 1/6 of the cap.
True, but also Toronto scores goals, Montreal doesn't, so that's another problem. But I can see what you're saying. Carey Price being one of the more overrated players. You have another one. I know you have another one. Who do you got? Who do you got for me? Who's another overrated player?
Oh boy, who do I want to throw under the bus?
Phil Kessel?
No, I like Phil Kessel. I always like Phil Kessel.
Phil Kessel's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, okay? He deserves our respect.
Yeah, if he wants to eat hot dogs, let the man eat hot dogs.
Take that, Steve Simmons.
Well, thank God you laugh at your own jokes, Mike. That's good.
All right, Mike, you run with it. I got to figure out who I want to talk about.
Well, because I just hate the guy, Lars Eller, but he's not even rated. Like, the guy's just there. I'd say Thomas Plekanec now. For whatever reason, Montreal fans love him. I'm starting after the last 2-3 seasons. I can't figure out why. He doesn't really score anymore. He only wins faceoffs. He's an okay penalty killer, but I honestly, like, I don't see him lasting much longer. I mean, hell, if we couldn't hang on to Markov, I don't see hanging on to Plekanec for whatever asking price he wants next year. I'd be a little relieved if we kind of got rid of him for something at the trade deadline. But in terms of overrated players, it's a little... thinking.
Would you guys say Zach Parise falls in that category, or?
Parise just gets injured a lot.
Yeah,
That's
for the amount of money and term that he got. Like, it doesn't seem like,
He's been injured a lot. Oh my God, I forgot to say this guy. We'll get to Parise. Well, you know what? I'll finish my bit on Parise. He's just been injured a lot. He's had a lot of bad luck with injuries, and unfortunately, he got hit again with it. I've had him a few times in fantasy. It's always a high risk when you're picking him. That has been mostly to do with injury, but I cannot believe I haven't said, and this one's going to be very controversial. I'm sure the 5 people listening are going to be like, how can you say that? PK Subban.
I knew you were going to go there.
I've said this many times.
What a racist.
Oh my God.
People like you that are just the worst.
Oh my.
You're defending McDavid's Trump thing, and you're saying a black player is overrated? Oh, you're the problem with society, man. Tumblr hates you. Screw you.
Oh my God. Look, I liked Subban. I liked him in juniors. I was really excited about him, and I have said this repeatedly on the podcast. I feel like I'm a broken record. He's not. Everyone say he's a superstar. Guy has talent. The guy doesn't have brains. He will be a good second line pairing with a decent defenseman partner, but he is not the one to lead your team. I don't think if Subban wasn't like, if the Weber for Subban thing didn't happen, and Subban is currently on our lineup, I don't think that changes the team at all. I would do the Weber for Subban trade, absolutely. Player for player, Weber's better all around. Yes, he's a lot older, but you know what? He's a better all-around defenseman. Shea Weber's not the problem in Montreal. He's actually the one bright spot on the defensive line. Subban makes too many mistakes. He gets into multiple altercations with teammates. I'm not sure if I said this on the podcast or I said this off air, but there was a problem in the Montreal dressing room, and it extended beyond Therrien and Bergevin. This guy got into battles with Koivu, Plekanec, Gallagher. The year that he made that $10 million donation to the hospital, okay? Teams every year have to submit a player who shows dedication to hockey. I think it was for the Masterton Award or not. It was for some volunteer or humanitarian award. Montreal, every team picks one, right? The players vote. Subban makes that $10 million contribution. Who do you think the team voted for? It wasn't PK Subban. It was Max Pacioretty. Subban likes the limelight. He's very charismatic, great skilled player. Makes way too many mistakes for a guy with his experience in the league. And I have to scoff all the time where everyone thinks that PK Subban was the next coming. He won a Norris Trophy. Oh, okay, that's great. That was a shortened season because of the lockout. He had good offensive numbers, but defensively he was terrible. I'm not a racist at all when I say that it's purely a hockey thing with me. I've watched Subban for many years, and for many years I've seen him make mistakes almost every game that leads us to a goal or a penalty. He puts all the limelight on himself. And with hockey players are not like football players or basketball players or even baseball players. Hockey players are very shy. They, for the most part, don't like the limelight that much. So here comes Subban, where it makes everything about him, and it causes a riff. And he's been in altercations with several players before, and it rubs me the wrong way. Now, then again, I would, if it came to Therrien or Subban, I would pick Subban because he's the more talented guy. But I think there's a lot of red flags in Subban's game. He's a good, dependable player, but I don't think the superstar that everyone says that he is. But just basically, based on what I said, and what do I know, right? But that's
you did just talk for like 5 minutes straight, so apparently you know a lot.
Would you say you're passionate about this opinion, Mike?
Oh, I am, because Shea Weber is probably one of my favorite current NHL players playing, and I couldn't believe the amount of outroar that the trade got. Like, it was like we were trading Subban for a fifth.
I believe the expression is uproar, but outroar works too. Let's get that trending. Hashtag outroar.
Just like secondedly.
Yeah.
But everyone was making out that it was like, oh, we gave Subban away for a fifth round. It was kind of like we were giving him away for like a spare part. And I'm like, you're getting Shea Weber. Like, come on. Like, this, it's nothing to sneeze at. And I didn't understand the flack that Weber was getting. Now, he went to Montreal and he had a good season. That's the thing with Montreal, man. And that's the other thing too about the Montreal fans I don't get about, and I'm going a little off road here, but you mentioned Carey Price. Montreal.
This whole thing started over Carey Price?
If you were listening. Yeah, he said he was the most overrated player. Montreal fans, get your matter together, okay? Do not Bronx the one player who has been consistently saving your bacon for the last 1 or 2 years. You Bronx him again? Like, what do you think's going to happen? Okay? The whole team has been letting him down. Yes, he hasn't been making the occasional save here and there. Yes, he's not playing like himself, but you are single-handedly jeering the franchise, like the face of the franchise, but when he's doing good, oh, Carey Price, he's the next coming, all this stuff, he's the next wah. And then you pull that. Montreal fans, I'd like to say you're better than this, but you have a history of Bronx cheering the wrong guy, which sometimes gets him out of town. So maybe we don't try to do that again, because now this is twice you have done this to him. Cut the crap. He is doing the best he can. I don't think he's the most talented, as Matt said, but you know what? The problems in Montreal are beyond Carey Price at this point. It's a whole team issue. Bronx somebody else for a change and not just leave it on the goaltender.
Why don't you Bronx Marc Bergevin? Oh, segue. Oh, dude, I am the fucking worst. So, like, would you say that the problem with Montreal could arguably be as general manager? Where did you see his press conference?
He basically threw his team under the bus there.
He was saying that the solution is in the locker room and that he's not going to go out of his way to make a trade just to make a trade. Now, like Michael was saying, Montreal doesn't really have anyone of interest that other teams might be willing to trade good players for. You're saying it's like there's not really a market for most of the guys on that roster, and the ones that are valuable are probably not for sale. So, like, you replace Marc Bergevin. Like, what do you do with a general manager who's not doing anything?
You know what? And hold on a second. He can't do anything because he can't do anything. Let's be real here. We're only like, I don't know, an eighth way through the season.
We're just three guys talking on a podcast. What do we know?
No, but like, let's face it. We're very early into the season. No one's going to be making any blockbuster deals. Even if Bergevin did have spare parts, even if he did have a vague idea of what he wanted and how he could get it, he can't make that move because it's really early and GMs don't want to make that kind of move right now. This is why you don't see Duchesne going anywhere just yet. This is why you don't have Bergevin. I'm sure he's been active trying to figure out stuff, but not to the point where it's like crunch time. Okay, let's get a deal. No deals are usually made at this point. If they are, it's very minor. It's waiver wires, drop players, all that stuff. He can't make a move. And that's the thing that Montreal fans can't, like, they can't get it out of their head. They think that the whole world revolves around them, much like Toronto. But you know what? In Montreal, you have it in 2 languages, so it's worse. So they're like, oh, make a deal. Well, it's kind of hard to make a deal. And I can see why, and he's kind of throwing the players under the bus because he can't say, like, he can't go up to them and be rationally be like, look, guys, I can't do anything right now, okay? And I don't know. For me, it's just he's in a very, very tough situation. But then again, he put himself in that situation because he didn't. Now, I mean, who knows? Retroactively, this could have bitten him in the butt. He didn't want to give Radulov the term that he wanted. Dallas came in with that extra year. He didn't want to give Markov what he wanted term wise. So, you couple that with Carey Price not playing as well as he is. It's a perfect storm for Marc Bergevin right now. Everything that can go possibly wrong for the Habs and Bergevin is happening right now all at once. And unfortunately, the scoring has dried up. It's ironic, though, that Drouin is like probably one of the best forwards because I think he was the one that everyone was worried about the most coming into the season. It's kind of like Batman v Superman, where you're worried just about Ben Affleck, but you see the movie and it's like, oh,
the rest of it's just terrible.
There are other factors when it comes to this.
Oh my god, like I think you're the only person that liked Batman versus Superman.
It was okay.
like your opinion means nothing now. But like you said, it's just like, does he didn't offer term to the players that he could have. Now, is that necessarily his fault? Like, does he have the money? The owners do.
Oh, Montreal's a spend to the cap team. They have the money.
So is it like a culture thing? I mean, we can just sit here speculating. Like, we can put our tinfoil hats on and just, cry conspiracy. But I don't know. It's just like, I don't know, Michael, you were saying last episode. I'm not going to say last week because, man, we spaced this stuff out way too much. Like, we're talking about the reason why he, like, even if Radulov was still in Montreal, you would still not be doing well. I think that was the point that you were making, right? That, like, even if Radulov, like, maybe, like, instead of a minus 16 goal differential, it'd be like a minus 10.
I think, yeah, me and Matthew were both talking about that, although Matthew was a little harsher in that assessment than I was.
Well, Matthew's biased because he's a Leafs fan, so.
This is true.
Yeah, no. I mean, honestly, it's just, I don't know, like, what you would do in that. Like, they obviously, with Carey Price's contract kicking into effect next year, that would have caused some problems. But you could have, you know what, Plekanec is not as good as his $6 million cap hit. You take that off the books. Could have evened it out, but they have to make room for Price now because of that hefty contract extension that he signed. And the other thing, too, is I don't think they were counting on Hemsky being a bust, like another Semin. Although Hemsky gets injured all the time, so it shouldn't be as much of a surprise. I just thought maybe he'd get a few points before he got injured, but
Oh, well, what do you know? So, like, what do you guys want to see? Like, do you guys want to see Montreal get a new GM? Like, if they replaced him, would you be like, that's a good idea?
I think at this point, that's I don't want to say the last resort, but so look at it this way. This all started with Subban, so they traded Subban. Okay, that didn't really work. And you fired your coach. Well, that hasn't really had the same effect the effect that you wanted it to. What's left to do? Like, really?
Fallen for Dolan.
Yeah, like, you had a chance in the
Matt's
summer.
like, oh, we're not referencing that episode.
You had a chance to improve the team in the summer with a trade, and the best they could do was Drouin, who, while being a very good player and an electric player, probably not the answer there. Yeah, there's so many holes on that team, and I think at the end of the day, that is Bergevin's responsibility and his fault. That team has no depth. Their defense is abysmal. They can't score to save their lives, and all it took was an off-season from Carey Price to really show what this team is made of.
I'm just looking at Michael's face, and it looks so ugly, clean-shaven. Like, you need to grow your beard, buddy. No, like, I think the question in... I think the question... we should do a video podcast next time, guys. Let's be real. But how do you splice that together? Oh, Jesus. I think the issue with Montreal, Matt, is like you said. It's the trades they made didn't work out the way they wanted them to. And, you know what? Like, that's... I mean, hindsight's always 20/20. But, I mean, you make moves hoping that they pay dividends. And, unfortunately for Montreal, they haven't. I mean, it'd be interesting to see... another
Hold on a second, because I'm remembering something that Matt just said. Hold on. So Weber for Subban, you'd still take Subban?
No, I'm saying that was kind of the kickstart of the whole drama in Montreal. I think you still do that trade, but they were trying to fix a problem with that trade, and it hasn't really worked.
Yeah, but hold on, though. But is that a Weber problem, or because... I don't know. I mean, to me, the room seemed more unified with Subban out. I think the culture kind of wasn't as
I'm not saying that didn't have an effect, but the team was still shit.
Oh, well, I mean, we were first place.
Yeah, and then you got swept out by the Rangers and scored like 6 goals in 6 games.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree.
Now you're having a terrible season, so Here, not to rub salt in the wound here. I'm just looking at the stats for Mikhail Sergachev because I happen to have him on my fantasy hockey team.
I saw them this morning.
11 points in 13 games, plus 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's pretty
Duran
bad.
has 2 goals. But I think Montreal has a problem when, and here's the thing. I mean, Pacioretty, first of all, again, and I can talk about this till I'm blue in the face. The guy's abysmally invisible. And that's the thing. When you're shooting 40, 50 shots a game and you're not scoring, like that, I don't know. Like, does that fall on coaching? Like, what happens there? Because, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'd like to see the spray chart for Montreal's shots, because if they're all coming from the outside, which generally when teams struggle like that, they're all these perimeter shots, and any goalie worth their salt is going to stop them. If you're not getting those high quality, dangerous chances in the slot and around the net, you're not going to score. And when I look at Montreal's team, they're small and weak, and they don't have that big net crashing presence. I'm actually not that surprised.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm actually, when I saw parts of the Montreal Anaheim game where they were just peppering, and it seemed like just shoot it, just release it, let's see where it goes, hopefully on target. But they don't. Do you think, Matt? Now, again, anything is an upgrade over Therrien, but do you think that Claude Julien was the right guy to take over this team?
No.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because if you look at those Bruins teams, they were built net out, right? When they were winning their cup and going on their cup run, they had good goaltending with Tim Thomas and Tuukka Rask. They had an exceptional defense. And then they had some pretty good forwards. I mean, Patrice Bergeron is pretty good. But outside of that, you have your Marchand, and I think when they're winning cups, though, like Marchand isn't what he is now, that 60-point guy. But they were built to play a defensive style. They grinded you down. They bashed you. You just hated playing the Bruins when you have a guy like Lucic, just smashing you into the boards, knocking you over, pestering your goalie in the front of the net. And Montreal's not at all built to play that style.
It's interesting that you say that, because I agree. Like, I didn't think that Julien should be the guy, but I knew he was going to be the guy. As soon as he was fired by the Bruins, I was like, okay, well, here it comes. I think the perfect guy, and we can see this in Vegas, the perfect guy for that was Gerard Gallant. Wouldn't that have been your pick?
Oh, 100%.
Like, that guy, and I've said this on previous podcasts, that guy's a motivator. I don't know if he speaks fluent French. I don't know. But
should it matter?
It shouldn't, but in Montreal, apparently it does. The guy's from Prince Edward Island, so I don't know if he's bilingual. But Gerard Gallant is a motivator. He's a tactician. He really knows how to get the players fired up. When Therrien couldn't do it, which is almost every game, let's be honest, Gallant was the guy. And when he somehow got canned from Florida, I was like, oh my God, Montreal should jump on this guy because he's going somewhere. I had a feeling it was probably going to be Vegas in the expansion draft because, you know what? Here we go, Mike. You called it, right? Here we go. After the fact, you called it, right?
Actually, I do remember talking about that with you, so
I'll
give you that one.
Damn it. Thank you, Matthew. Because I was like, I know I talked to you, so you better speak up. But but that was the guy they should have gone for. Now, again, maybe it was the bilingual thing, but that's a guy that can lead your team. And we can see that. I mean, now, again, Vegas has been going on a goalie carousel right now, and it's been really tough for them to keep up. But he is the guy that is a leader. He's a tactician. He understands the players. And with Julien, I agree. The system, like his particular way of coaching, I don't think fit the structure of the Montreal team, which is exactly what you said. He had the pieces in Boston. He doesn't have the pieces here. But again, he's French Canadian, so allons-y, I guess.
The other side of the coin with Gallant, I think, is you look at Florida's roster, their really young roster when he was coaching there, and I think that suited him really well. I think, like you said, he's a motivator, and he's a good teacher for those players. Montreal didn't really have that, right? They have a very veteran-laden roster, and I think when you're evaluating who you want to hire, in that case, you might lean towards a guy who's dealt with a veteran roster before, or a veteran coach like that.
So here's the thing now, and we're talking about Montreal a lot, and I don't know if I should apologize for that, but if you're Marc Bergevin, Matt, and Kevin, you can chime in too. You're Marc Bergevin. You just signed a 10 year, was it 10 years, right? For not 10 years, sorry, an 8-year contract
8 year
for
by
Price.
10. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always getting the term and the dollars confused. So forgive me. You have that now, right? Do you go full on rebuild mode at this point, or do you try to get pieces to somehow stay competitive because Price signs thinking that you guys are a good team and a contending team? What do you do now? Because either way, I think it's a lose-lose. Especially
we've established what we do. It's called #Fallen for Dolan. That's what Montreal does.
But is that feasible? I mean, it's one thing for us to talk about that and say that, but is it an actual feasible thing?
If your general manager is saying that the answer's in that locker room and they're not delivering, what are your options? You tank.
What I find interesting,
I've been a Sabres fan for 4 years, buddy. You have to trust the process.
What I find interesting about the whole Bergevin press conference is usually he says, it's on me. He usually takes the blame, right? He's like, I'm the one that puts this team together. I'm the one that takes the blame.
That doesn't fix anything,
though. But it was interesting how this time around he deflected to the players. It was the first time ever where he's like, look, it's their problem. It's all on them.
Well, if you're him, you're like, this is probably one of the first years that team is 100% his, right? Like don't ask me how many years he's been GM already. It's enough, but it's his draft picks, his trades, his signings, it's his team. And so if you're in that position, you're thinking like, well, I did my job. I put this thing together. These guys got to perform now how we think they can perform. Now, maybe it's skewed and he just overvalues what he's got and thinks it's better than it is, or it should be better than it is. And sure, some of it is on the players too. Your NHL team, stop being embarrassing and do something. But I could see that having a mindset like that.
How quickly things have turned around, man. Like, Montreal was killing it. Toronto was just clawing their way. And now, boo-doop-be-doop. We've switched positions.
I don't know how realistic a rebuild is for Montreal, though. Like, there's contracts with term on the team. Those are hard to get rid of. There's really nothing coming up the pipe. I mean, if you do tank... I don't know. You're wasting Carey Price's prime then, and you trade him 1 year into that contract. That looks pretty bad.
But okay, thanks for letting me talk, Matt. Do you? I like it how we have Montreal making the playoffs last year, not even a full calendar year.
They won the division,
and we're talking rebuild. Does that not seem a little bit too? Just let things I know it's early in the season still, and people are preaching Armageddon, but you go from making the playoffs to rebuilding in less than does that not seem crazy?
No, that's the new NHL, and not to say I told you so, but when we were doing our season preview,
let that be Michael's thing. Don't be like Michael.
No, come on. No, I do believe I said they were on the brink, and I had a hard time even saying that they'd be in the playoffs. So. I'm not surprised that this has happened. I'm really not.
You really start to see the cracks in the foundation in the playoffs when New York was skating circles around them, and like Matt had alluded to, when we made those predictions, a lot of teams caught up, if not improved drastically, and Montreal either stayed the same or got a little worse. So they lose a lot of of good players on the back end for essentially nothing. You don't have anything coming in the system. Your goaltender is somehow taking a mini vacation mentally and physically. It's ridiculous, and unfortunately, it all unfortunately is on Price when he doesn't play well, when he doesn't play his best, when he's not standing on his head. You start to see the cracks. I mean, it happened when he was injured and Condon took over. It's they have to. And that's a good question, Matt. Do you trade him 1 year into his big contract? I don't think a team would take that right now, given the way he's been playing. And then what's Montreal's asking price? Of course, it's going to be very, very high because it's Carey Price. So I think it's going to be a lot like the Matt Duchene thing. There's going to be there's going to be teams who are not going to have the cap space, or B, want to give the pieces that Montreal is asking for, especially with the .887 price save percentage that Price is sporting right now. You can't do that. Matt talked about him being one of the most overrated players in the game. I tend to agree with him on that. I'm a Hab fan, but I'm objective. So, with that being said, when you're looking at goaltenders, if you're looking at, let's say, there's one goaltender that it's literally fantasy hockey. You have your first pick. It has to be a goaltender. Who do you go to? I'm not going Carey Price. I'm not. And I'm not talking about the team. I'm talking about the player himself, the goaltender himself. I don't trust him in a situation like I would other goaltenders. But like for you, and I'm talking to Kevin right now, who do you think, who is the top goaltender skill-wise? Forget about their defense. Forget about the structure. Best goaltender in the league right now. Go.
Well, let me just pull up my phone here, and I can pull up stats, and I can tell you who objectively is the best goalie. But let me just, you know what, man? Best goalie in the league right now, it's definitely not Frederik Andersen. Sorry, buddy. Like, it's just he's good. He's really good. He's not the best. Jonathan, I'm gonna piggyback off. I'm gonna give you credit for this answer. Probably Jonathan Quick. It's pretty good.
Okay, it's okay. I got a backup if Quick was taken, but go ahead.
You haven't given your answer yet.
No. I haven't.
Okay, scratch my answer.
No. You went with Quick. You went with Quick, so stick with it, because I have another one. Okay?
That wasn't going to be my answer.
Well, it was.
Oh. Matt Murray. I mean, you do have Sidney Crosby. Sidney Crosby. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm choking on him. I think that a team like Pittsburgh is good enough as it is, but I think that, hey, you know what? Like, Matt Murray, he back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. He was a Stanley Cup champion his rookie year, man.
He won 2 cups before he could even
before he could walk. I think that my pick is honestly Matt Murray. I like his beard. I think I think that's a very substantial beard.
Is it sexy enough for you?
It is. Yeah, he should be the face of the franchise. But no, I honestly think that you're talking about a guy who's because Pittsburgh, they're good enough as it is. So, I mean, everything is good top to bottom, but I think Matt Murray, for me, would be my pick for best goalie. So, I've retracted my Jonathan Quick thing. And if Michael, if you want to take it, you can, or you can go with your backup now. Do you want to look like an idiot?
I always do. Matt, you go. Because I want to see how he answers this now.
I don't have a single answer. I want to give my top 5.
Okay, it's called Hosey Hawker. Hosey Hawker.
What's a Hosey Hawker?
You know what? We're talking a lot of French lately, so Hosier Hockey Hour. Hosier Hockey Hour.
But it's called an hour, buddy, not a week.
No. Give him. No. I want to see. I want to see.
All right. Thanks, Mike. All right. Number 1 is Braden Holtby, and I don't say that just because he's from here.
Because Holtby's. You've seen Holtby at the gym.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. He's a Saskatchewan boy, so I know he was going to go for that guy. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Holtby's got insane numbers in the playoffs. He plays when it counts.
Especially in that third round.
It's not fair to pin Washington's playoff failure on him, I don't think. Number 2 is a new guy on the block, Andrei Vasilevsky in Tampa Bay.
Now, he was hot and cold last year, eh?
Actually, he was pretty good last year.
I had him in fantasy.
Bishop
I don't
was
know.
Gone.
I disagree.
Well, I think that's just a combination of Tampa was really bad last year. Now that Tampa's good again. This guy's been lights out. So he's an exciting guy to watch, I think. He's
probably the third best
talented
player to wear 88.
Yeah. Number 3, I'm going to throw out Corey Crawford.
Really?
He's keeping Chicago afloat right now. No,
your opinion sucks.
I think Crawford is underrated.
I'm the internet. Your opinion sucks.
No. Stop it.
No, Crawford's underrated, I think. When you
really?
When you look at the Hawks, you think Keith, Seabrook, Taves, Kane. You think of that core guy. Crawford's pretty steady in there. So overlooked, but I think very good.
But with the players you just named, does it matter who's in net at that point?
I think it does, especially in the Western Conference.
Okay, interesting choice, which in Hollywood means I don't like that choice at all.
Well, whatever. You don't have to.
No. You're entitled to your opinion. I find that interesting that he's your number 3.
Yeah.
Because for not many, but for a while, Corey Crawford was the downfall of the Hawks. Oh my God! I almost said something else.
I think you were saying.
Oh my. Oh, this episode's gonna be rough.
Yeah, sorry for the dude who has. What's his name? Shay. Shout out to Shay for editing this, man.
Okay, so no, that's interesting. I didn't think you were gonna go Crawford on that one. Okay, who's your 4th one?
Number 4, I throw out Marc-Andre Fleury. I still think Fleury is pretty good, dude, talent-wise.
Michael, you have a permanent indent on your tongue from biting it so hard, buddy.
Go ahead, Matt.
Fleury is still very skilled. He was still a big part of Pittsburgh's 2 cup teams. And I think the only reason he got pushed out is one because of, well, not the only reason, I guess. One of the reasons, the cap. You can't pay 2 goalies an insane amount of money. And 2, the league just tends to skew towards younger, cheaper players. So when you have a guy like Matt Murray who comes in and plays his ass off and wins you a cup, it's going to be pretty hard to get your job back. But the first week in Vegas, he looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, well, who knows how long he's out for now.
The thing with Fleury is, when he's hot, he's really hot. But when he's cold, he will be letting in a lot of softies. And again, he's talented, but I think he's too inconsistent for me to put him in that top 5. That's why I was biting my tongue so long.
Oh yeah, what's your number 5, Matt?
As much as I said he is overrated, it's still Carey Price. Carey Price is still a top 5 goalie in the league.
This sucks. Like, who is this guy, man?
Carey Price? Who is he?
You should have just stuck with Braden Holtby, buddy. You would have been fine.
You're so...
All right.
God, I'm such a dick, man.
You are. Okay, Carey Price. You said why is he a top 5? Why does he beat out Bobrovsky
or Jonathan Quick?
Oh crap! I forgot about Bobrovsky
or Martin Jones, because Martin Jones was going to be my back.
Can I switch Fleury and Bobrovsky? I totally forgot about Bobrovsky.
Yeah, you can. I mean, he's only a 2-time Vezina winner, but sure, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, no, Bob's got to be in there. Man, how did I forget Bobrovsky? I like Bobrovsky.
That's why when you said Fleury, I was just like,
I'm mad at myself.
Well, where the hell's, because I was like, Price, because I know you and I have talked about Price being a top 5. And I was like, well, if he's gonna go Price with 5, where does that leave Bob? But so Bobrovsky's back on your case, which is nice.
Yeah.
We'll never be Jay and Dan, man. You can cut that shit out.
Oh my God. But yeah, so Bobrovsky, 2-time Vezina like trophy winner, man. Like I that's just like he hasn't really seen noticeable for me. Like Jonathan Quick, I look at Jonathan Quick, and the guy's like sprawling. The guy's like, he is so, pardon the pun, he's very quick. But he was going to be my top choice. But then when you said Jonathan Quick, I was also thinking Martin Jones. And I realized none of you said him. Am I living on another planet here? Am I seeing things?
No, you're talking about an underrated goalie.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, he's in my top 10. Not top 5 though.
I don't know. I look at Martin Jones and it looks like he's got it together. Like he's always in perfect position. That's another thing about goalies. If a goaltender's making remarkable saves time after time after time. It's usually because he's not in position. But with Martin Jones, I think that the guy's always in position. He's always square to the puck. Finally, I realized that none of us talked about Cam Talbot. Right?
Because he sucks. The
God.
Oilers are 3-7 right now. Why are we talking about Cam Talbot?
Well, just based on last year. But with me, it'd be between the two California goalies, Quick and Jones. I really like how fast Quick is. I thought
you were gonna say I really like how fat Quick is, and I'm like, he's not fat.
Oh my God,
he's pretty quick. Oh, okay. Let's talk last minute of play.
All right, you're guys. Such a piece of work,
dude. I'm insufferable, buddy. Oh, I tell you. No. Finish your point.
I think I made it. But I want it, Matt. Where do you have Anderson? Is he a top 15, a top 10? Because you're the Leaf fan.
Top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah, his October numbers just in 2 years have not been good, so I'm willing to look at that as that's just. Certain players have trends in their stats that you see, like some guys just don't score in the month of December or whatever. I think Freddie's just a little shell-shocked in the first month of the season because he played really well in San Jose on Monday night, and he looked pretty good in Anaheim last night too. So I think he's got her figured out, or he will anyway.
He's got a delayed jet lag. That's what it is. He's in Europe, and then he comes here, and it takes him. He's a late bloomer. He's a late bloomer is what he is. I remember one time I was listening to TSN radio, and Reimer was still at the Leafs at this point. I remember texting you this, Matt, where they were like, oh, yeah, James Reimer's definitely a top 30 goalie in the NHL. I'm like, well, I hope so, because there's 30 teams, and he's a starter. So I'm like, and I think this is when they lost to the Bruins in the playoffs. That 4-1 lead. So I found that so hilarious. Like, oh yeah, he's definitely top 30. I'm like, how much is TSN paying you?
It's like, how can you count, buddy? Like, there are 30 teams and he's a starter. So it's like, naturally, it's just like, yeah. Oh, dude.
That's a hot take for hot takes right there.
No, they're earning every penny of that paycheck. I think I've said that before. Okay. Let's see. Last minute of play. Matt, do you have any ideas here?
You should have saved the McDavid one for last minute of play.
Oh, wow.
Damn it!
What about things to look for in the next 2 weeks? Since we'll be off for 2 weeks.
Or will we?
Oh, we will.
Probably.
Oh, really? You guys don't have a life like me? Oh, interesting. Or have a life? No, you have a life unlike me.
Yeah, we have a life.
Yeah, you have the life. I don't.
We have other things to do. Is
Matt's
what we're
working,
getting at.
and I'm in Toronto.
Damn it. Well, I can guarantee you what you won't be seeing is a Montreal trade on a blockbuster. I'll say that. I would say Vegas still has to rely on their fourth string goaltender.
I see Toronto doing well, and then Sportsnet and TSN are going to be planning their Stanley Cup parade because they keep referencing 1967 like it was yesterday, and it's like, guys, pace yourself. It's just November and they're already planning the parade. It's like, dude, you need to relax.
It's like when you meet a girl and then you start planning your entire future together and then you break up after like 2 months.
You were dating her for a year and a half.
Oh my God, I wasn't even talking about any of us.
Here's a hot take for you. I'm going to say that the Arizona Coyotes double their win total.
Oh.
I mean, it'd be hard for them too, but I mean that's pretty good take there, Matt.
Hopefully they get that second win. How bad do you feel for Clayton Keller, man? Like, really?
Man, that guy's going to win the Calder Trophy and just be on a terrible team.
He's going to have more points than his team, man. That's how bad it's going to get.
Okay, here's I'm just looking at the standings here. I haven't looked at them for a while. So Arizona's 1-11-1. They have 3 points. The Oilers are 3-7-1 and have 7 points. That means for how bad Arizona has been, the Oilers are only 2 wins better.
At least they're consistent.
That's brutal.
You know what, Matt? I gotta ask, and I forgot to mention this. Do you fire Rick Tocchet after this start? Like, I know he's a new coach, but he's had experience. Like, what do you do, man?
No. If Jared Bednar doesn't get fired after Colorado's horrid season, Rick Tocchet deserves a second season.
Okay. You good?
I mean, I was yawning, so yeah, I think I'm good.
Oh my God. I love how committed you are, man.
All right, we're gonna get the outro right this time.
Oh my God!
I won't talk over you.
Shay, you can just record while we're trying to figure this out. I know I'm gonna be interrupted again at some point. Keep your stick on the ice, okay? I mean,
that's what he says.
Oh, sorry.
You can't steal my line.
Oh my God! I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I offended you. And I will.
Make fun of his list. You take his line.
I will send an apology. I'll send an Instagram post and delete it and change the caption and everything. And I mean, we can just die down the sound right now because we don't have this thing worked out yet after all this time.
I mean, you could say your outro.
I don't really have one worked out yet, but let's just it's been good. All right. Thank you for listening, Hoserville. Stay tuned for more updates. Hopefully. We'll get to you sooner than later. But, don't hold your breath.
Bye-bye.
This podcast was produced in part by Urban Grin Productions.